Hey, Talia here, and today on I Got Back Up, I'm joined by Marcos Jarvis. Marcos was diagnosed with stage 4 incurable cancer and was told to go to a hospice. Marcos has since beaten cancer. He changed all aspects of his life, his mindset, and facing cancer head on, he is now living cancer free. So, Marcos, when you hear and think of the phrase "I got back up," what does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like, my journey is obviously I did get back up because I was rock bottom, and when you hear "I got back up," you know those people have come from the pit of whatever they're going through, and they have to put so many steps in place to be able to just even come back up to a normal level, let alone go beyond that sort of thing, so
You're right, isn't it? It's any level. It's just getting back to some sort of normality or feeling somewhat like a human being again.
yes, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt, like, there's so many different aspects to whatever you're going through that there are obstacles and steps within your way that you have to overcome. And you can sit there and wallow in self pity for 3 months, but at the end of that 3 months, you're still going to have to go and get up that first step and do what is necessary to take it.
Well, the first step, I believe, is always the hardest one.
Yes, without a doubt. Mm.
So with all of this in mind, I want to go straight and deep into your story. So I want to hand it over to you now, and wherever you feel most resonates with the person you are today and your entire journey. Let's start with that.
Okay. Well, I'll start from a little bit before my where it happened. I was a builder. I had a single company that was just me. It was doing well, and we had family holidays, and I've got a wife and a little boy, and it was great. It was life was amazing, but the only problem is I did have a very negative attitude of like, why am I not making enough money and things like this, and I didn't realize how much I had to get back up until I was going through health issues and kept going back and forwards to the hospital and the doctors, and they kept saying, "Oh, it's gastroenteritis. Take these tablets and everything else." And then nothing ever changed. Kept going back, and then finally they done a CT scan, and when I got called back into the hospital, that's when everything in my life changed because I was diagnosed with stage 4 advanced incurable cancer, and they said there was nothing that they could do apart from put me on palliative chemo and assign me to a hospice. So that's where everything in my life changed, sort of thing. And I had to change my mindset. So, mm, so that's where gone.
It's it's interesting because you said that's where you had to change your mindset, and it's one of those classic cases as human beings that we don't tend to change our mindsets until we are literally forced.
Yeah, and you can do it before because I always look at my journey. When I went into that oncology office, I was still Marcos, and my health issues were still exactly the same. But when I got diagnosed, that's when a lot of people start shutting down, and then they come out of there feeling uh, like as if their world was ended, and then starts things start to deplete. But at the end of the day, you come out of the office, you're still that same person as you went in. And I was lucky enough to have that mindset of like, right, okay, nothing's really changed apart from the information that they've just given me. I know what's wrong now, and this is where the steps from where I go from there. And that's the most important thing because there's only two ways in life. You can either say yes or no. And I fortunately said yes to life at that point.
That's how I say it, and I see it. I say you've got two options. You've got the option to sit and stay, which is probably the no, or you've
Yeah.
got the option to get up and go through it, which is the harder one, which is the yes. So what were the next steps for you then?
The next steps, what really, really changed was after the oncology appointment, we came out of there obviously upset, thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm not going to make my little boy's fifth birthday because he was only 4 at the time. And we went and picked him up from school. And obviously, when kids come out of reception, they're all like jumping around and so happy and everything else. And when he come running across the playground, obviously, me and my wife were really struggling to hold it together at that point from the news we just got. And he came over and gave us both a hug, and we both looked at each other and went, "We've got this. No matter what happens, this little boy is not going to go without," sort of thing. And that's when things changed, and we started to research cancer, and we had to take on a lot. And the things that we found out about cancer is on a fundamental basic level you can just change so many things. It doesn't have to be as complicated as everything else. Sort of, like going to the hospital, having chemotherapy, that's where the experts are there. But there's a lot that I found out that we can do as individuals.
So, I mean, so what are the things then that you did start to change? And also, just to quickly know, I think that the moment when you and your wife looked at each other and you were like, "We've got this," those are those moments that we need as people that make us. It's that tiny, even tiny glimmer of light or hope to think, "I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be the victim, and I'm not gonna let this beat me."
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely, like I said before, I was a victim mentality, thinking, oh, I'm never really going to be that successful. And now having a diagnosis like that, I always try to explain to people now, don't wait for the train to hit you, change beforehand. But unfortunately, I didn't listen to, like if I could go back, I would definitely slap myself in the face and say, right, okay, this is what you need to do rather than waiting for the train. And just having that moment of clarity of there are things that we could do and stepping on from there. And just having that, like you say, that glimmer of hope of I've got my wife to back me up there and then. And that was such a strength throughout the whole entire process. And it must have drove her absolutely crazy because I wasn't the best of patients, to be fair. So
Can I ask why?
And well, on the mindset of things, I just researched everything to do with cancer, and the brother-in-law gave me a book called the Wim Hof method. So I read that, and it just made so much sense. But I'm not telling everyone out there who's going through chemo to go and do this. Like this was my choice, and what was written in the book just made sense. So I was told by my oncologist not to touch anything cold. My wife had to get stuff out the freezer for me because the chemotherapy affected all the nerve ends and that. And I remember it was February and it was -2 outside, and my wife couldn't find me in the house, and she came outside, and there I was with my hands and feet in a bucket of ice water, and she just shook her head and just went, I read it in a book," sort of thing, and it just made sense. And then I went on from there to do ice baths, cold showers, train all through winter just in a pair of shorts. And another book that I read was absolutely phenomenal was a guy called James Boardman. He's a mindset coach, and his book just 1%. Literally, that was all this book. Like I picked up on this, and it just 1% every day. And if you do 1% every day, 365 days later, you're going to be 365% better. So it's just having that little bits of putting a good diet in place, having a cold shower, and I started to walk whilst I was on chemotherapy, and then eventually I started to run as well, sort of thing. So, and when I entered a 5K race, I turned up day after chemo and finished the 5K race. And then I was like, right, so this is the next challenge: 10K, half marathon, marathon, and then I went into ultras whilst I was still on chemotherapy. So, mm.
And all of this is when, you've been told this is incurable, right?
Yeah, yes, it was, incurable, and like I say, they assigned me to a hospice, and, they asked me to sign a waiver to say whether I wanted to die at home or in the hospice, and, what was it? I said, "No, I'm not gonna sign my name to that, but what I'm gonna do is sign my name to a waiver for a marathon," and I actually signed up to a marathon that day, and it turned out I turned up on the start line of that marathon, still with my pump and pick line on from the chemo the day before, and I completed the marathon. So, and yeah, it was incredible. It was really emotional to get over that finish line. So
What was the incentive then to start running? I also want to talk about the cold therapy as well, but what was the incentive to start running? And I also just quickly, the whole thing about the 1% is it's a really nice way of looking at things because I think we also think that every day when we wake up, whatever we're going through, we have to put 100% and 110, 120. We almost think if we're not giving everything, we're not getting anywhere. But if you reframe that as in just 1%, if you can just do one thing that changes whatever it is that you want to change in your life, you're right. It's one step closer, isn't it?
yes, yeah, I remember my first run on chemotherapy. I before that, before I changed my mindset and I changed my diet as well. I went total plant based. I cut out all sugars, all alcohol, all processed foods, dairy, milk, and everything else. And I found that really gave me a lot more strength. So that's when I started to think, well, hang on, I wonder if I can go for a run. So I went for a run, it was 100 meters. And then I came back and I had to sit down. But the next day, this is where the 1% came in. I put my trainers back on and I went back out and done 150 meters and then 300 meters and then 500 meters. Then I completed my first kilometer. Then, like I say, I was like, right, okay, sign up for a 5K, get the 5K done. And I ended up running 2,500 miles whilst I was on 35 rounds of chemotherapy. And I used to run to the hospital, have chemo, and then run home. So, which is pretty insane. Right.
I love it. Like I love it. And obviously, people that are listening to this, they're not, they might not want to get into running and it might be way out of their, everything that they're going through. It may be something that they're not going to do. But to run to chemo, to have chemo and run back, like I love it. Like I do. I love it. Like I love it. And it's those kind of things that just make you, even those kind of things make you think, wow, like this is somebody that's going through chemotherapy and they've put on their trainers and they've gone for a run to go to chemotherapy.
Yes.
But it almost shifts your mindset in anything. Like for like when we as humans wake up in the morning and we want to go to the gym, let's say, and we're like, "Ugh, I'm too tired today." Like
Yeah.
having that knowledge that someone out there has done that, it gives you again, it almost gives you that light, that little moment to think, well, if this person has done this, I can put on my trainers and I can even just get to the gym and see how it goes.
Yes, yeah, yeah. You have to make that choice because at the end of the day, I didn't have long left to live, so I didn't have chance to procrastinate. So it was like you stick your trainers on now, and you go out for a run, and you have to get it done. And me and my wife sat down and talked and said we were completely honest and said, if I do die from cancer, I want to die the fittest patient there is. And that was the whole point. And I remember going to my first scan, which was 3 or 4 months after I was diagnosed. And just one of my tumors on my liver was 12 centimeters across. And it had already reduced down to 8 centimeters just from chemotherapy, the cold therapy, the mindset, the meditation, the good, healthy eating, and the start of exercise and everything else. So yeah, it was a significant amount of reduction just within that 3 or 4 months. No.
How long were you told you had to live?
I never got a prognosis, but my diagnosis, whenever you Google anything like that, it was 2 weeks to 3 months, and that was all I had. But I never got a doctor to tell me when it was, sort of thing. I mean, obviously, being signed to a hospice, there was a little bit of an inkling there of like, you're not going to be around much longer, sort of thing. But no, I never asked for a prognosis, and I just left that alone because I wasn't going to have that in my mindset. And that was the thing. I had a diagnosis, I knew what was wrong. And it's the same as having a car taken to a garage. You can get a diagnosis and you can think about whether I can fix it or not. Depends how much money it's going to cost. And the prognosis, it could be too expensive. Whereas my life, I couldn't put a price on my life. So I was never going to accept a prognosis. So,
Yeah. It's a really interesting way of looking at it. And yeah, not putting almost like a finish line or I've got this many days or this many months. It's a really interesting way of actually looking at it because it gives you the unknown. It gives you the unknown to, I don't know, so I'm gonna see, basically.
yeah, and I think, for me, I did take a lot of things to the extreme, like running ultra marathons on chemotherapy. I remember going for chemo and I said, "I can't make the next round of chemo." And they said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I'm running a 50K ultra on that day." And they were like, "Are you seriously gonna miss chemo just for a race?" And I was like, yeah, because I can't reschedule the race, I can reschedule the chemo sort of thing, so I so, yeah, I used to get told off a lot in hospital for running around, and yeah, in the middle of winter, just turning up in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, sort of thing, You're supposed to they had to, like, put the heating on, "Do you want a heated blanket?" It's like, "No, I don't," sort of thing. So I was not the easiest person to, deal with, and I'd be in the waiting room, and Ashley would say, "There's a little bit of a wait," so I'd start doing yoga or stretching in the hallway or stair reps outside and things like that just to get my step count up and everything, so I
I
couldn't
really enjoy this.
But yeah, a lot of people do think I'm a little bit insane, sort of thing. And a lot of people are like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Well, I've got stage 4 cancer, so that's what's wrong with me." Especially running around when it's snowing in just a pair of shorts, and, and like, why? And then obviously I explain my story and explain why the cold therapy and everything else helps, and they're like, "So you're not mental?" No, no.
It goes back to what you said at the very beginning. It goes back to, getting back up when you are at the depths of rock bottom and there is literally nowhere to go. Well, what do? You try whatever you can, even if people think it's insane. I actually don't. Like, I respect it. I don't think it's crazy. But if people do, then you try anything that you want to do
Yeah.
to see what you can do for yourself and your potential and for your life.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, I was going to die anyway. So whether I died from too much exercise or anything else, I had to do something because I wasn't willing to give up. And every time I looked at my little boy and my gorgeous wife, I was just like, there's no way I'm leaving these behind. Sort of thing. And I will fight until there's nothing left in me, sort of thing. So, and I remember they said with chemo, you're going to be tired, lethargic, and everything else. So you're going to be sitting around a lot. And I did have the idea to learn the guitar. And so I brought myself a guitar and I've never touched it. Literally, I've never touched it. I've just haven't sat down long enough to be able to learn it, sort of thing. So, mm.
Again, like, you brought a guitar because obviously you thought, yeah, that you're gonna stay at home, you're gonna sit down, you're gonna be stationary a lot
Yeah.
more. But you've got the guitar, so you can learn it anytime now.
I can learn it now. Yeah, at any time I can learn it now, sort of thing. But obviously my journey now is so far beyond sitting down and learning guitar. It's to do with helping other people and things like that. So, and I'm not saying you have to be extreme because you don't have to be. It's just having those little movements, like going for a walk helps activate your lymphatic system, which your detoxification system, and just doing little things like that and changing your diet a little bit. Look at what you're eating on a daily basis. And it's a simple thing of recreate, I think it's 10 million cells per second, every single second. 10 million new cells come in your body. So if you're treating that well, your body is going to be well. It's the same as having a car. If someone said to you, your car that you've got right now, that's the only car you can have for the rest of your life, how are you going to treat it? And that's how I treat my body now.
That's a yeah, that's a really, really, really interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, you will do everything you can to look after it.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the food, for instance, what would you did you substitute things in, or was there more things that you were eating, well, more of?
I like I said, I was a very heavy meat eater, and being a builder, I was always down the calf, bacon sandwiches, in the bakers, donuts, and everything else. So once I got diagnosed, all that went out the window. I read a lot about being plant based, and obviously it helps with the digestion and everything else. And red meat takes a little bit longer to digest, I do believe. So I thought, well, I haven't got long. So if I can cut my meal digestion down and consumption down, I can gain those few extra seconds each day, which will make a lot of difference. And I had substitution for supplements as well as very good healthy diet. I'd eat broccoli straight out of the fridge, raw broccoli straight out of the fridge. The amount of people that see me eating a bag of lettuce rather than a bag of crisps, they just like, well, you're just too weird, Marcus. I don't know if I could be friends with you anymore. Right. So yeah, there was a lot of things I changed. A lot of things that I apple cider vinegar and all little tips, CBD oils, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, homeopaths, meditation, visualization. I just put everything into my inventory and thought, well, I'm going to build myself my own army alongside what the doctors and nurses were doing with the chemotherapy in the hospital. So, mm,
Well, you built your own world inside.
yes,
You literally went out of your way to just the things that you mentioned, even down to visualization and meditation. You built your internal, you reprogrammed your internal world.
yeah. Yes, well, I had to go very, very deep in even just forgiveness of everything that's happened in my life. And with cancer as well, I treated it as a friend of, right, okay, what message are you trying to post to me? What are you trying to make me understand? And I've come to understand that cancer is what you put in is what you get out. So the better you put in, the better you get out. So I had to change everything, and obviously my body started to respond to better food, better sleep, better meditation, better cold showers, and things like that. I'm not saying that everyone will respond exactly the same way, but because I had that option to change, I took that option to say yes. And a lot of people will like go the opposite way. And it depends on how your mindset is. And if you can just understand that there is hope, even if it's a little bit of hope, just grab onto it and just run with it, sort of thing. So, which is what I did. Mm,
I think two really important points you just made is first of all that the things that you've mentioned, they're not gonna work and help for everyone. And that's with every human going through anything in this world. Our friends, our family, support networks can tell us to do certain things that work for them, but it might not work for us. But if we at least give it a go, we'll know. And if
yeah.
it doesn't work for us, then we'll find something that does. And if it does, amazing. So that's yeah, it's a really, really, I definitely think a really important point to know.
Yes, yeah, like you say, it's not gonna work for everyone, but the thing is, if you're in a situation like that, give it a go. That is all I done. I read books and studied cancer and read papers and, so many like the Health Ranger. There's a guy in America who's called the Health Ranger, and he's just so many different tips that you can pick up. The Truth About Cancer, there's a really good website and book which helps you with um, things like beetroot juicing and sort of just to help with more energy and strength. Because when you're going through chemotherapy, it knocks you for six. And just trying to get the easiest way I can explain chemotherapy for me as a runner is if you wake up in the morning and you've already run 18 miles and you've got a massive hangover, and that's how I felt every morning when I woke up. And then I was like, Jesus, I've got to try and get through today, and also do my exercise and do the school run and everything else. So it is a colossal drain on your body. So if you can put the good stuff in, and I started to understand athletes and things like that, and I think to myself, what do they eat to get a gold medal? So I need to eat that just to be able to go for a run, sort of thing. So it's making them choices.
Mm. It is. It's making the choices that, like we were saying, you have to give it a go, and you have to make the choice to even give it a go.
Yes.
And then the Wim Hof method and, cold water therapy or just, things like that. How does that help? Because obviously there's a lot more people these days that are talking about it, know about it. But how do you find that that was starting to help you?
A lot of the breath work for a start is almost like a high altitude training. So you can increase your blood count through just doing this breath work, which carries more oxygen throughout your body. And cancer doesn't like oxygen for a start. So that will help in that particular way. Also, with the cold therapy, that will help with your immune system, which is your natural fight against pathogens, disease, and everything else. So I just looked at everything as a boost for that type of situation. And training with no t-shirt on, that was the fact that I was getting sunlight in. I was your skin breathes, so you're absorbing oxygen through your skin, and just like I say, just little things like that that helped a lot. And I'm now a qualified Wim Hof instructor because I believed in the the strength and energy that gave me to be able to fight and move on from there. And I done breath work every day and before I went to chemo, and then I'd do cold showers, ice baths straight after I'd come home from a run, and that was on a daily basis every single day. And I found my hair stopped falling out when I started having cold showers. I found that I never struggled or suffered with muscle strains or recovery very, very quickly from just doing the cold and everything else. So yeah, I definitely put my hand up and say, and also I love it as well. The endorphins that you get from the after the breath work and coming out of the cold tub as well is incredible. Mm.
I wanna ask about the breath work, but just on the cold showers, I think even if you turn your shower cold for what, 30 seconds at the end of a hot shower is that 1%, isn't it?
Beneficial. Yes, yeah, it is beneficial, and it's that 1%, and your body will regulate to that temperature. And also, you're getting your body into that fight or flight and then relaxation mode where you're waking your immune system up with inside as well. So, which is absolutely incredible. And I know that I felt the benefits from that uh, throughout the whole entire journey of having cancer. Mm.
It gives you energy, like, it really gives you energy.
Yeah, without a doubt. And especially when you're running 6 miles every single day, you need something in place to do that sort of thing. So, mm.
And then the breath work, what was that then? What was your focus on the breath work? Because again, obviously some people probably they've heard this term or they know that people do it, but they're not entirely sure what to do.
Yes, the breath work is a basic of 3 to 4 rounds of 30 to 40 breaths, and then you breathe out and do a retention hold for 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then just build it up from there. Most people will start off at 30 seconds retention, then go into the next round, and then after your retention, you'll take a deep breath in, which is your 15 seconds hold, and that's when your body rebalances and helps you to alkaline your whole entire system. And that was another thing that I read, that cancer doesn't like an alkaline system. It likes to live in an acidic system. So I tried everything to keep it into a pH balance. And then you go into your next round, and a lot of the time you'll find on your retention hold will get longer each round, but then you finish on the 15 seconds hold on the in, because there's no added benefit from holding any longer on the intake, because that's when your body rebalances throughout. Right. And yeah, you just feel invigorated. You feel as though, because that gives you time to check in with your body. And when you're laying there and you understand and you can clear your mind whilst you're doing your breath hold, you can check in with your body. How is everything feeling? And a lot of people don't take 5 minutes to themselves. So I would just say to do breath work, just to take that clarity moment for ourselves. So,
You're right, though. We don't take, in our busy, chaotic schedules and lives, we don't take 5 minutes to ourselves. And usually, when we are taking those 5 minutes, we're scrolling social media.
yes.
We're doing something that's completely taking us away from our bodies and our present moment.
Yeah, yeah, and the biggest problem with social media and scrolling, I'm not against it whatsoever, but when you're scrolling, your body is seeing these images and it's almost stressing yourself out because someone's fitter than you, so you're judging yourself against that, or you've seen a disaster happen, you automatically um, feel like shocked or anything else. And they reckon whilst eating, you should not watch TV because that manipulates your digestive system and slows that down as well. So yeah, it just if you're eating, if you're meditating, put it all to one side. I mean, my normal morning routine: I'm up at 5, glass of salt water, then I'll do meditation, breath work, or just gratitude, writing stuff down, and then I'll go run 6 miles, come back. I'll make my wife a cup of coffee in bed and wake my little boy up. Then I'll have a cold plunge, and that's my morning routine, and that's every morning.
I like it. I like it. I think tomorrow morning when my alarm goes off or I'm in bed, and I'm going to think, hey, I could be
Yep.
doing this.
Yes. Yeah. Get up and just take that the first half an hour to yourself, and then go for a dog walk or go outside. Just get outside and enjoy the light that's coming through, and that's the best time to be outside as well. Not that
Yeah.
we get much sunshine, but on certain days,
No,
your
what is it?
skin's always waterproof, so it doesn't matter if you're outside. So
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, to be fair, you're right. Especially in this, well, in the UK, what even is sunshine?
yeah, yeah. I ran 6 miles this morning, and it chucked it down the rain the whole time, and I was so grateful for it. It was just almost cleansing of the body. So it was great. Out with friends as well, sort of thing. And that was the good thing about my journey. I had a lot of people that backed me up and came along my journey and supported me right the way through. There was a fantastic charity. I don't know if I can mention charity on here, but WOLO, it stands for We Only Live Once. And I came across them and they supported me, my family, and my little boy all the way through our journeys. And the co founder of it I actually made run like marathons with me. And he was like, I can't even complain because this guy's got stage 4 cancer. So I have to try and keep up with him. So
And then mindset, which we've spoken about quite a lot, it's not an easy thing to shift your mindset at all, especially from one place to another, complete ends of the spectrum. How has your journey been? And because it's like I said, it's not easy at all. How has your journey been in doing that? Because again, that's not a your mindset doesn't change in a week or a year. It's an ongoing process.
is an ongoing, you have to, procrastination is one of the worst things that everyone in this world does, because potentially humans are lazy and they're always looking for the easy route. But I had to put little tricks in place of, right, if you want to watch that program on Netflix, you have got to run 6 miles, otherwise you're not watching it. I'm taking the batteries out of the remote control, and it was just little things like that that I looked at. Food as well, and I'd say to myself, you know, if you're going to eat that, it's not going to do you any good. And now I look at food as fuel. How many miles can I run on that? How many hours can I be productive on that type of food as focus and everything else? Whereas, like bad food, we all know we shouldn't eat it, and we all feel sluggish afterwards. Whereas good food, it's amazing the lift that you get from from real good food and going out for nice meals and enjoying company and everything else. So there is a lot of things that you have to trick your own mind into doing that, and you have to question everything. Is that going to do you any good? No. So why are you actually doing it? Can you explain to me why are you going to take that risk to do that situation sort of thing? So yeah, there is a little, like lots of little tricks, and you have to talk to yourself. And David Goggins is definitely a person that I admire, and I've even got a mirror with post-it notes on and like write little things down. And is this going to do you any good? Come on, you're accountable for yourself. No one else is going to appreciate you. No one else is going to compliment you apart from yourself. So you need to do stuff that you're going to get in that situation. So yeah, David Goggins is another brilliant book. He's a bit harsh, but not everyone loves that. But that is the situation that I do enjoy. Right, so.
But then with all of that in mind, the self-talk and the, what's good for me, what's not good for me. And then with your journey, obviously, as well, you didn't know where you were gonna go. You didn't know if you were gonna get better. You didn't know if you were gonna beat it. And obviously you've got this amazing mindset which is becoming, and it's getting stronger and stronger, and not just mentally and inside your body physically is changing. But was there doubt that was coming in? Was there, days that you had this mindset of, I've got this, I'm going to eat well, I'm going to, the affirmations, meditation, but then the darkness comes creeping in and suddenly it's there of, but what happens if I don't? What happens if I can't? What happens if it doesn't
Yeah.
work out? And did that start to happen? And if it did, how did you battle that in a way?
There was going back to James Boardman, he's got a quote that says, "What's the alternative?" And that was just something I questioned every day. If what is the alternative of pushing your body to, because the human body wants to heal all the time if you give it the right input. So I had that in mind every time. And there was doubt, that thinking, oh my God, this is like a 1% survival rate on my cancer. And do I really have what it takes? And fortunately, that I did just say, well, I'm going to die anyway if I don't do what is necessary. And that was the one thing that I looked at my family and my friends and everything else, and I was just like, I'm just going to do it. Literally, I'm going to do it. If my gravestone says that he died of cancer, but he died running 100K doing so, type thing, that was what was drove me on. I wanted to be as fit and as healthy as possible, and I didn't want my little boy to see me in bed not being able to do anything. So I just kept that motion of being able to do everything with my little boy. I know not everyone's got that like focus or anything else, but just life is worth living. Without a doubt, no matter what you're going through, life is worth, even if you've only got another couple of months put on top, it's 2 more months that you wouldn't have if you don't change your mindset. And that's where the most important thing is. Like here, I could have said no to this podcast because it brings up a lot of emotions, but I chose to say yes to it because it might help someone else. You never know. And it's just those little focuses that you have to put in place just to bring yourself to the realization that life is worth living. And that's it. For me anyway. So
No, life is worth living. Life really is. And so when was your diagnosis?
I was diagnosed 5 years ago, coming up in October, and it took me 2 years and 35 rounds of chemotherapy and 2,500 miles of running and good healthy eating. And I'm actually cancer free, and I'm coming up to my third year of being cancer free.
And this is, and you were told this was incurable, this was stage 4, and you even, you were assigned to a hospice, and you knew, well, not you knew, you thought maybe
That
there
was it.
was weeks or months, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, and now I'm running 100K next Friday. I and I've just finished 100K 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I'm now an ultra athlete. I'm now a public speaker. I'm now a Wim Hof instructor, which I hold fundamental classes for a retreat that I've built in my garden through my bare hands. And yeah, being a builder beforehand obviously has come in handy in a lot of sort of stuff. And yeah. Mhm.
See, no matter how much we try to sometimes let go of the past, some things in the past we actually really have to like keep.
Yep, yeah, that's right. I built a barrel sauna from scratch in my garden. I built a cold tub from scratch, and being a plumber and a carpenter, I built it all out of wood, plumbed in a chiller, so it's at 2 degrees all the time. So yeah, that comes in very handy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think everyone would love one of those in their garden.
Yes, yes, was right.
And what you just said before, when you said, you could have said no to this podcast, but if there's somebody listening and it changes something, even if they come away and they want to change their diet or they want to go for a run or they want to try a cold shower, the stats for cancer is just horrendous. Everybody knows that for every type of cancer. And, I think, not I think, we as a collective have lost so many people already throughout years and years and years and years, as far back as we can go because of cancer. And obviously medicine and hospitals, doctors, science is ever evolving and getting even more amazing. And we are, there's a lot more people that are beating it. But putting the science and the medicine aside, having the tools and the knowledge that you can also change things inside you, and you, or if it's, whether it's you personally that has the diagnosis or it's the people that are around you, because at the end of the day, if you are living with it or you know someone living with it, even if you're that someone that knows someone, you're kind of still living with it
Yeah,
in a different way.
yeah,
And whether it is yourself with the diagnosis or it's somebody that you know, even helping them implement these tools, or showing them this advice, or why don't you try this, why don't you try that, or have you thought of this before? I think even if those little steps can help people not, first of all, lose their life, but also lose people they love. I know
mhm,
so many more people in this world would really, they would tell their loved ones, give this a go, try this. I know, it's definitely something I would have done from the family I've lost. And I think that's the thing with cancer, is that it affects, I'm going to say, pretty much everyone in this on this planet. Like I said, they've either go through it themselves or they know somebody
yeah,
that's got it.
yeah,
So being able to share these tools and these different methods, and like I said, there's so many different ones, and this is why I wanted to ask you about each one with a little bit more information, because however someone resonates with one thing, they might think that's the one I want to do.
yeah,
And I think that's why it is important, because yeah, cancer is horrendous, and knowing that there are different ways, like I said, that you as a human being can change things is that glimmer of hope.
yeah. And the biggest problem is I found all the way through my journey was a lot of people, they do bury their heads in the sand, and they don't want to understand cancer and study cancer. And that was the biggest benefit that me and my wife actually gained, because we brought books with cancer written all over it. And we've got a stack of books here, like How to Survive Cancer. A diet book is called How Not to Die. And that gives like basic balanced diets throughout that. And just having, look, I believe for my wife, it was harder for her than what it was for me, because I just had cancer, whereas she had the prospect of losing me. What is she going to do in the future? How's Archie going to like come up without a dad and everything else? And it was just having that support and reading these books, which we both read together, and that gave her hope as well. And she'd come home with like little nuggets of, oh, you should try this, Marcus, and things like that. And I think a lot of families play it too safe, and a lot of cancer patients don't want to talk about what they're going through. Whereas we were very, very honest between each other. I'm scared. There. Or I want to try this. Right. Okay. Let's do some research on it and see how it can benefit. And just being open about what you're going through, I believe that took a lot of weight off my shoulders. Whereas a lot of people try and bear that weight themselves and don't want to burden the family. But the family want to help, but they just don't know how. So the first thing to do is get rid of that word of fear with cancer. And then once you've like knocked that out, cancer is scary. But if you treat the word as a platform, then you can build on that sort of thing. And then families can get involved. And then people are more likely to go, oh, you should read this book. Oh, I've come across this article. And I read a paper which the stats are 70% of people will give their lives to a doctor and say, help me. 15% will just give up and there's no point. And there's only 15% that will go, right, let's go. Let's see what we can do, sort of thing. And we need to change those stats around so more people will go, right, what can we do alongside the conventional and everything else? Because unfortunately, there's not enough support from the conventional side of things to just put little things in place and everything else. I mean, I was told to stop taking CBD oil and not eat so much fiber and green vegetables, I think. So, like, and yeah, so I done the complete opposite. And they told me definitely not touch anything cold. So there I am sitting in an ice bath. But
And but just on that, what was the mindset of, because when we are told things by doctors, we usually stick to them, not gonna do X, Y, Z. So what was the, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyway? What
yeah,
was that?
because of my diagnosis was so short lived that I just thought, what have I got to lose? And that was my mindset. And I know it sounds weird, but luckily I was stage 4 advanced incurable. And I look at my cancer as an Oxford degree with honours. You can't get no higher than that. So I was in a platform where I was like, well, what the hell? Let's go for it, sort of thing. So whereas a lot of other people have, you're going to be fine and everything else, so they play it safe. Whereas I couldn't play it safe. I had no choice but to go. So I'm luck in a way. I was lucky like that.
Mm. And just on what you were talking about before, people call cancer the C word. People don't even say the word. And even
No,
sometimes when you say it as a human being out loud, the body kind of shudders when you hear it,
yeah,
because it is a word. So many people say the C word.
yeah,
And when people are diagnosed, a lot of people won't even say cancer.
no,
They will be like, "Oh, how are you feeling?" or "How's chemotherapy?" or
yeah,
they'll literally do everything else. They just won't say, "I'm sorry to hear about cancer."
I
You know,
no, right,
but it's like when someone breaks their leg, they say, "I'm sorry to hear you've broken your leg." So
yeah,
why, it's this, it's very, it's obviously dissimilar, but it's still similar. It's still a
yeah.
body thing
Yeah,
that's,
yeah, yeah.
it's
Well,
still a
if you've broken your
diagnosis.
leg, you have to heal from that. If you've got cancer, you have to heal from that. It's exactly the same thing. On the cellular level, your body is trying to repair. And like you say, so many people have got this fear about cancer, and it doesn't even deserve a capital letter. So don't even give it the C word, just say cancer. It's the same as saying a cat, dog, door. And that is as simple as that. If you take all the fear out of it, there is hope that you can change things around and just have a, even if it's just a better way of life for the way the last few months you've got or anything else. And you never know what happens from there. I remember reading a story. There was a Greek guy who lived in Canada, and he was diagnosed at 62, said, oh, you've only got a couple of months left. He went back to Greece and thought, I'll live my days out with my family. Obviously eating from the ground, healthy, and slept well and everything else. And he died at 94 without cancer. So just bring it back to basics and bring it back to clarity and everything else. And there is a lot that we can change, and we know we poison ourselves on a daily basis from chemical foods and everything else.
It's taking the word fear away from it. I love that. It's taking the word fear because if you can take fear away and you can transcend your darkness into light, you can you can shape shift fear into hope.
Yeah, yeah. And then, people have said to me before, "So what would you do if you got cancer again?" "I'll work harder." Literally, I will just find out what I've done wrong or where I'm missing stuff, research, and then just go from there and then go again. Plain and simple.
So then, what would you say to somebody that's just been given a diagnosis? I mean, obviously, there's a spectrum of different stages and diagnosis,
Mm.
but what would you say to someone that's, I almost want to say, kind of stage four? They've been diagnosed with stage four cancer, and they may have even been told you've got weeks, maybe months. What would you say to them?
Well, for a start, here's my number. Here's my email. Come and get in contact. Come and have a coffee or a chat on Zoom. But I would say, just find that strength to just give anything a go. And the first thing is your mindset. You've got this. Literally, your mindset, that's when it can all go wrong. If you have a negative mindset, turn it into a positive. I mean, I had a 3 year holiday from having cancer because I couldn't work, obviously. And it was just little tricks like that. People look, oh, it must have been horrible. Well, no, I got time to spend at home with my little boy and take him to school. And I've spent more time with my little boy because of cancer than what most parents have throughout their whole entire life with their kids. And I would say to people, just hold on to any little bit of hope and always have something in place, like a day out, or for me, it was a race lined up, or a date night with my wife, or going out to mountain biking with my little boy, and just always have something in place. Because if you've got something in place, you've got something to aim for, and then cancer comes second base. And too many people let it consume them. And if you do that, that's when the negative side of things come in. Whereas if you say, "Oh, I've got cancer, but I'm going out for a date night with my wife," or you've got something to not shut cancer away, but you've got something else to focus on, and that's when the endorphins are released because of happiness, because of being with friends and family, and things like that. So yeah, just choose research, definitely research from any type of person going through a stage four or any type of cancer. Research, check out the truth about cancer, look at what you're eating, look at how you're sleeping, look at your stress life. If your job is too stressful and you've got diagnosed, not that you can quit, but there are situations where you can talk to your boss, and or as your boss yourself, you can reduce the amount of work and things like that sort of thing. So I mean, you can buy another house, but you can't buy another life. Uh, so,
No, that's it, and it you showed how you have changed your mindset in what you said because you know you sat there and you said I had a 3 year holiday. I
yeah.
mean, it and the way you were able to look at that, more time with your boy, just being with your family more.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were going through what you were going through, but it's reframing the narrative of the situation that's going on.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like I say, I would run 6 miles every morning with my pump and pick line still attached, still having chemotherapy. And people were just, "Oh, you're on drugs, mate." Yeah. So, but you don't want to be on the drugs that I'm on, sort of thing. So, and yeah, I've finished, completed 50K ultras the day after chemo, and things like that. So there is a mindset where you can build the strength up to be able to change things in your life. And like I say, it doesn't have to come to the extreme of what I went to. Just put 100% in. That's all you've got to do. Is just wake up every morning and go, I'm going to put 100% into changing my diet, or fasting, or drinking more water. And most of us are dehydrated. So we don't drink enough water to be able to produce certain chemicals to be able to digest our food for the next day. And it's everything what happens today is for tomorrow. It's not generally for today, and people do tend to forget that. For your one meal for tomorrow, you have to drink 2 cups of water for today to be able to produce the chemicals that helps break all that food down. Right. So it's
Interesting.
little things like that. Right. Mm.
Yeah, interesting. And then just quickly on fasting, because you just mentioned fasting. Again, that's something that, especially intermittent fasting, things like that. How does that help the body?
Uh, I, from what I believe and what I studied, I do. I only eat between 12 and 6 every day, so I basically get 18 hours of digestion, heal, and rest. So it's 18 hours of being able to put everything in place. Whereas if you're eating at 10 o'clock, it takes 4 hours to digest. So that you're still trying to digest food at like 2 in the morning sort of thing. Whereas if you finish eating at 6, by 10 when you're going to bed, that's when you've digested all your food and then you're going into heal and repair. So always looked at it, I was gaining that advantage of having those extra amount of hours throughout. And that was every day I'd do 12 till 6, and then twice a month I would do a 24 or 48 hour fast as well. Right.
Nice, nice. Thank you for that. So, if anybody wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
I'm on Facebook as Marcos Jarvis, or Instagram is Running Cancer Free. I've also got a website, The Warrior's Breath. If not, just my email is marcusjarvis74@gmail.com. So if anyone wants to get in contact or shout at me, because they're going through a diagnosis and they're annoyed, there's just having someone to reach out to that's been in that situation, because I had no one to look up to. I never knew anyone until I met Kevin Webber that had run a marathon on chemo, and I didn't know whether I was doing the right thing or not. So it's just having that. So you went through this. Okay, can I ask you about this? And it's just having those little lean on someone's shoulder, because at the end of the day, you're in a dark place, and cancer has got such a hype that it puts so much fear into people. And if you just have someone to just lean on, to know that you're going in the right direction, or trying something that might work, sort of thing, and giving it a go. Because when you've got cancer, there's no hope most of the time, and it's just giving people that hope, just to give something a go, and that's it. Mm.
Mm. Giving that tiny, no matter how small it is, giving anybody that tiny little glimmer of hope, it really can change everything.
Think, without a doubt, like I say, I didn't have anyone to lean on until I found James Boardman read Wim Hof's book, and it's just having those type of situations, and then coming across Wolo, which is a fantastic charity which helped me throughout my journey, and just like I say, just having that, am I doing the right thing? Yeah, you're doing the right thing. And then my wife, having that situation of having someone to lean on as well, because that was a very lonely place for her, sort of thing. So we should really write a book about it from both sides of her and my side. I think so.
Yeah, you should. You should. I'll be waiting for that.
That's right. Yeah, I'll call it Too Stubborn to Die.
I like it. I really like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Right.
Amazing. Is there anything else that you want to mention or talk about today?
Just if anyone is going through a situation, talk to your family, be open about it. It's a scary situation to be in, and break down, cry. You're perfectly fine to do so. There's too much holding it in the background, and we need to bring it to the forefront. And like the old saying, "A problem shared is a problem halved." And it's as simple as that. I mean, some people don't want to listen. I've lost friends because of like having cancer, and they don't know how to deal with and things like that. But literally, just be open. Yeah, I've got cancer. This is what I'm going to do, and this is where I'm going to go, sort of thing. Or if you need a lift to the hospital because you can't drive or anything else, if you've shared it between people, they go, "I'll give you a lift," or you'll find that a lot of people are there to help. but they don't know how to open up to friends and family, and don't try and keep it to yourself, because they want to help as much as you want to survive. Uh,
Yeah. And that's actually a really valid point for if you are on the other side and you're the person that wants to help, wants to support, wants to be there for your loved one, but you don't know how to. Sometimes it is literally offering a lift to hospital.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And being open, say, I know you've got cancer, but I don't know what to say. I literally, there's no words that I can use to say. And then a lot of the time, people will open up and, I'm fine with it, or I'm scared with it, or anything else. And that's when conversations start. You have to use that first word or use that first step to actually get things started. And we're too easy to just sort of go, well, if they don't see me, I don't have to talk about it, sort of thing. Whereas I think that it needs to be talked about, right the way across the world, because it's 1 in 2 now. And it's as simple as that. So, and you're all right. I've taken one for the team, so you should be fine.
Thanks.
That's all right. That's what I always say to my wife. So I said, "You'll be fine. I've taken one for the team." So.
That you know what? That's actually it's a really it's a nice way of I guess when you're talking to anyone, you
Yeah.
just to say actually.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And like I say, just smile and just get a mirror, talk to yourself, and just say to yourself that self appreciation goes a long way, and people don't understand what the endorphins that they can release within your body of being that person that stands in front of the mirror and says, I mean, I say it, I'm quite vain, so I'm quite happy to say, I love you, man. You've got this. You're looking good. Can you believe you just run a 100K ultra type thing? So yeah, I'm quite happy. But a lot of people just buy a mirror and just look in the mirror and see where you're at, sort of thing. So, and that might help just on that little thing of like, I don't like who you are, so I'm going to change now, or yeah, I really like you, and then just appreciate it.
Mm. And it's again, it's one of those things which is you, even if you don't want to stand in the mirror and say, I love you, or however you want to compliment yourself, a lot of the time when you start doing it, it feels like lies, it all feels fake. You can't believe you're doing it. And that's, again, that's the first step. You have to go through the feeling of, what on earth am I doing? Like, I don't feel or look or think any of these things I'm saying, but you have to keep saying it to yourself because one day you'll say it to yourself and inside you'll go, yeah, you know what? Today doesn't feel like a lie. Today it
Yeah,
feels real. And then it
yeah,
goes from there.
yeah. And like what you've been through, you're here now helping people because of what your journey was, and it's incredible that like you're literally putting this stuff out there, and you're getting so much feedback from helping other people, which is incredible. It's like Mel Robinson says, you were given this mountain to prove to other people it can be moved. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing with this and your life and everything else. So I really appreciate you doing this podcast, because I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be helping loads of other people out there. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
that's all right. No worries. And like I know you told me your story and everything else, so and it's just you're living proof that just having that mindset, just no, this is not going to happen to me, right? And just giving something a go, sort of thing. And you're living proof. I'm living proof, sort of thing. Just to take that step, and that's all it is. Just one step, and see what happens. That's it. Because if you don't take that step, uh, you won't find out. And what's the alternative? That is it. Like I said, going back to that, what's the alternative sort of thing?
I was literally about to say, and you are living proof as well. So, you know,
Thank you.
finding people that are living proof, it, hopefully helps so many
Yeah,
more people that, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
overcome whatever battle and darkness that they're going through.
yeah. And understand it is hard work. And you have to do something about it, and that's the biggest problem. People didn't win a gold medal by just being down the pub or staying in bed watching Netflix. They actually got up and done something. So yeah, and a lot of people said to me, if I ever get cancer, I'm coming to live with you, Marcus. And I'm like, well, you better be ready. So because that ain't gonna be easy. So
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And also, you're right, actually. Those can you imagine those 5 a.m. wake ups?
Yep, yeah, that's right. Yeah, every day, 5 a.m. Right, come on, get up. You're doing breath work, you're doing meditation, and then you're going to run 6 miles every single day, sort of thing. So, and then a marathon on the weekend. So, just for good measure.
Yeah, exactly. Just we'll throw it in. Why not? How about,
Yeah,
make it a
yeah,
side
that's right.
hobby?
But it's little things of like even just going outside first thing in the morning and just sitting there drinking your cup of coffee or a glass of salt water or something like that. Just enjoying the outside. You don't have to go for 6 miles run. You can go and walk down your garden or just go and step outside on your doorstep and just enjoy be grateful for the morning. Be grateful that you just woke up. So, yeah. Mm.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me on here, and it's been absolutely a pleasure. And like I say, if I can help anyone out there, I'm more than happy to do so because I know it's not a great place to be, but there are hope and nuggets that can be taken from it. So, well, thank you, Talia. It's been absolutely brilliant.
So, like Marcus said, you won't find out if you don't take that step. And that step can be holding us back from anything we fear. Have you ever thought you're not taking that step because of your fear? Scared of the outcome, the consequence, scared of what might happen if it does or doesn't all work out? But seriously, what is the alternative? The alternative is the easy way out, the excuse. It's easier and more secure to be just the way that one is. Or the alternative can be taking that step and finding out. It's going to be hard work and it won't be easy. But believe me, it's going to be absolutely worth it. So until next time, remember, you have the power inside you. We all do. You have the power to get back up.